Have you ever found yourself doing all the right things as a mom, being calm, patient, emotionally available, and still feeling completely disconnected inside? Tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on the kind of motherhood no one really talks about, the curated one, the polished one, the this is how I should show up version. And if you've ever felt like you're checking all the right boxes, but still feel disconnected, exhausted, or unseen, then you are not alone. And if this resonates with you, then this video is for you. I'm super excited tonight because we're going to be talking about what happens when you stop performing motherhood and why that curated, socially acceptable version of good parenting is quietly burning so many of us out. So you definitely don't want to miss out on this one. And plus, I have a great surprise announcement at the end. So I don't want you to miss out on that either. So let's get started. I'm Alicia Brown, licensed marriage and family therapist, parent educator, and I help mothers heal emotionally and break generational patterns so they can parent with clarity, connection, and confidence, not just on autopilot. And I also show moms how to trade survival mode for intentional living so that motherhood finally feels like something they can exhale in. As you are watching this video, please feel free to say hi in the comments so that I can say hi back. And don't be afraid to tag a mom or hit the share button so that others can benefit from this message as well. All right, let's get into it. Tonight, I want to spend some time really breaking down what it means to perform in motherhood and really identify this performance, why we perform, what's the hidden cost of us doing it, and then what happens when we stop performing and how to bravely begin the shift out of it. So let's name this one thing, performative motherhood. It isn't about being fake. It's about feeling like you have to parent in a way that looks good to others. So you're seen as enough. It means living in a role instead of living in your body. It's doing the things because it looks like what a good mom would do, not necessarily because it works for your family or makes you feel whole. So you sign up for the PTA, you volunteer for the bake sale, you plan these elaborate birthday parties, smile at the soccer practice even when you're dead tired, all because it seems like that's what you're supposed to do. And here's the kicker. You do it even when it makes you feel resentful, emotionally disconnected, or exhausted. And the pressure to perform comes from everywhere. It comes from social media, it's in literature and books, your own family, strangers on the street, that one mom at pickup who's always got that fresh blowout and matching snack bags. But that performance, it's heavy. It doesn't leave the room for being human and to be true to who you are or want to be as a mother. So let's take a look at what performative motherhood can look like. For one, it can look like overdoing to prove worth, right? So constantly doing all the things, cooking, cleaning, organizing, volunteering, because a good mom keeps everything together. It's feeling guilty for resting or needing help because you're supposed to handle it all. It's suppressing emotions to protect an image, right? And so that might look like smiling through burnout or anxiety because you believe strong moms don't break down. It could be hiding your overwhelm so others don't think you're failing. It could be following parenting trends that don't feel authentic. So that could be using scripts, methods, or routines that don't work for your child just to feel like you're doing it right. It's creating a picture perfect home life at a high personal cost. And so that might look like keeping your house spotless, not because it supports your peace, but because you're afraid of being judged. And lastly, it could look like parenting from fear of judgment. So letting family members or strangers' opinions override your gut instincts. It's maybe enforcing discipline or rules you don't even believe in because you're afraid someone might say your child is out of control. So, one reflective prompt that I have my moms and clients of mine utilize from time to time is, what version of motherhood are you afraid people might judge you for not living up to? So, let that sink in as we move on to point two. This pressure to perform didn't come out of nowhere. For a lot of us, performance started as protection. So we did it to avoid judgment, to not become our own caregivers or parents, or to overcorrect what they did. Maybe it was to not be the messy mom or the checked out mom or the angry mom. And we've been conditioned to believe that being good at motherhood means being liked, applauded, or at least not criticized. So we perform. But here's what happens: we start parenting from fear, from proving, from avoiding shame, and little by little, we disconnect from the things that made us us. You might be doing everything right, but you don't feel right. That's the cost. The thing is, performing motherhood comes at a cost, and not just the emotional kind. First, there's the burnout. When you're constantly trying to be a filtered version of yourself, your nervous system never gets to rest and you're always on. And then there's the resentment. You're doing everything for everyone and no one seems to notice. You feel invisible and you start to wonder, what about me? But that thought, that's quickly followed by guilt because good moms don't think about themselves first, right? And so the cycle just keeps going. There's also a really deep disconnect from yourself. You stop recognizing what you want, what you enjoy, even what kind of mother you naturally are, because you've been so busy trying to become the mother you think you're supposed to be. And the performance slowly shrinks your life. You become more of a brand than a human. And in the middle of all of that, you're still trying to raise tiny humans, which is wild when you think about it, because you're literally trying to raise whole, honest people while hiding pieces of yourself. So the next question becomes, how can we break this cycle of wash, rinse, and repeat? So let's talk about what actually happens when you stop performing motherhood. So, yes, there's relief, there's honesty, there's beauty of being seen for being real. But let's not skip over something really important. There's a cost to this shift. And if you've ever felt it or you're afraid of it, you're not wrong. Because when you stop performing, you might feel exposed. You might worry you're being judged. You might get pushback from your own family, your partner, other moms. You might lose the praise and approval that once made you feel good enough. But let's normalize this. When you step out of the performance, you may lose belonging in the places that only accepted the mask. That's real. But on the other side, you begin to build a new kind of safety, the kind that's rooted in truth. You get to belong to yourself again. You start showing up from a place of alignment and not exhaustion. You might not get applause, but you'll get something better: peace and connection. And this shift doesn't mean doing it less, it means doing what actually matters to you and your kids. And that kind of parenting isn't just for healing, it's transformational for your whole family. So when you finally decide to stop trying to be that Pinterest perfect, emotionally available, craft project on deck, never snaps kind of mom, and just be the mom you actually are, it will feel weird, really weird, like someone might catch you. And you might think things like, I let my kids eat cereal for dinner. Am I failing? I needed an hour alone, so I handed them the tablet. Am I selfish for that? And I yelled today. I must be like the only bad parent on the planet for that. But then if you give yourself some space, something softer starts to happen. You begin to trust yourself. You start parenting from intuition instead of from fear of judgment. You allow those bad days to happen. You apologize. You model real emotions, and you create something even better than the good mom image. You create a real relationship with your kids, one where they can see you're a person, not a superhero. And in that space, there's more honesty, there's more repair, more room for them to be messy and real too. And maybe most important of all, you start feeling like yourself again. So now that this is resonating with you and you're realizing, yep, I may have been performing sometimes, maybe not all the time, maybe not for everyone, but enough that you're tired. And now you're asking, how do I even begin to stop? What does that look like? How do I shift from performing motherhood to actually living it without throwing my whole life into chaos? And let me say this: you don't have to burn it all down. You just need to start noticing what's performative and what's actually true. And when you can spot the difference, you can start to move. So I'd like to share 5 gentle ways that you can start this shift, right? The first one is to choose one area to let yourself off the hook. So what you would do is you would pick one piece of the good mom performance and release it, just one. So that might look like serving frozen waffles for dinner without apology. It might mean not responding to school emails the moment they hit your inbox, or letting your kids be bored without planning an activity. This isn't about being neglectful, it's about practicing a new muscle, permission. And then I'd also encourage you and invite you to ask yourself, what am I doing just to be seen as on top of it? Then try letting go of that one thing. All right. A next gentle way would be to set a 5 minute honesty timer. And this is one of my favorite things to do. So it's one simple, powerful move. What you do is you set a timer for 5 minutes once a day while you're folding laundry, doing dishes, whatever. And you use that time to check in with yourself. And you think, how do I actually feel right now? What do I need? And that's it. No fixing, just you being honest with you and what you need. And most of us are performing because we're disconnected from ourselves. So this gives us an opportunity of reconnection. And it doesn't have to be deep or dramatic, just 5 minutes of truth that can go a long way. The third gentle way is to start saying this is enough out loud. Sometimes the shift comes through language. You can start saying out loud, even to your kids if you want, this is enough for today. I'm choosing rest over trying to be perfect. I'm not going to push past my limits just to prove something. It sounds small, but saying it out loud reminds your brain and your family that you're human, not a machine. Fourth way is to take one thing off of your weekly to do list that's just for optics. So I challenge you to look at your weekly calendar and think about what's one thing on there that's on there just because you feel like it should be. Maybe it's a themed snack for preschool or checking the class group chat every day. Ask yourself, is this aligned with my values or is it just performance? Is it something I have to do or am I just doing it to keep up with an appearance? Take one thing off, just one, watch what happens. And spoiler alert, I promise you the world will keep spinning. And then the fifth gentle way is find one safe person that you don't have to perform for. Every mom needs at least that one friend she doesn't have to be on with. Someone you can text, totally hate it today, I need a redo, without there being a disclaimer or a caveat. If you don't have that person yet, start by being that person for someone else and be the mom who says, same, I fed mine chicken nuggets 3 times this week. Or it's okay to not love every second of parenting. Vulnerability invites safety. And once you feel safe, even in one relationship, the pressure to perform starts to loosen everywhere else. So let's take a big breath and just bring it all together. Tonight, we talked about the kind of motherhood most of us live, but rarely talk about the performative kind. We named it for what it is, not fake, but driven by pressure pressure to be that calm mom, the grateful mom, the perfect mom, the crafty mom. We explored why we start performing in the first place, how it's often a survival response to judgment or generational conditioning. We honored what happens when we stop performing, not just the freedom and alignment that come, but the very real cost and courage it takes to make that shift. And finally, we looked at how to begin the shift practically, gently, and with deep compassion for ourselves. If you're feeling that tug in your gut, that sense of, I want to live more honestly, that's your inner wisdom speaking, and it's worth listening to. You don't need to become someone else to be a good mom. You just need to come home to yourself because when you stop performing, you begin to connect for real. And speaking of coming home to yourself, I have something so special to share with you. I've written a book. It's called Break the Cycle, Not Yourself. And this book is for every woman who's ever asked, how do I stop repeating what hurt me without losing who I am? It's not a parenting manual, it's not a self help checklist. It's a guide to healing, to wholeness, to living aligned with your truest values, even when it's hard, even when it's messy, even when it means being the first in your family to do it differently. It's for mothers, but also for daughters, cycle breakers, sensitive leaders, and anyone brave enough to look within and say, I want to do this differently. I want to live honestly. And this book has been written for you, and I cannot wait for it to be in your hands. You can join the waitlist today by selecting the link in the comment section. You'll be the first to know when it's available, and you will get access to a complimentary bonus that I'll be sharing with early supporters. So, again, you can find the link in the comments and in my bio. And if this hit home, save it, send it to a friend who's doing the brave work of becoming more herself. Don't forget, sign up for Break the Cycle, Not Yourself Waitlist, because the moment you stop performing and you start living aligned, everything changes. Thanks for listening, everyone, and I will see you on the next video.